When I first started learning Mandarin, I had such a thick British accent that most natives couldn't understand me. Fast forward less than 2 years later, I was being accused of secretly growing up in a Chinese-speaking home. Now as I'm studying part of my PhD in China, people often ask me if I grew up here, or just assume that I've lived here for years and years. So how did I go from obvious foreigner to near native accent without living in China? It wasn't luck, it wasn't talent. It was a system, and in this video I'll share it step by step. But before I do, go ahead and smash that like button for me to help with the algorithm, allowing me to keep creating content to help language learners like you. With that said, let's begin. One of the fastest ways I improved my pronunciation was having patient friends who corrected me, not harshly, but in a way that built me up instead of tearing me down. Here's the thing, you can't hear all of your mistakes, but natives can. Especially at the beginning, you need them to show you what you sound like versus what you should sound like. Once you know where you're going wrong, a simple bit of listen and repeat can go a long way in pinpointing these errors and correcting them. Feedback helped me fix single words and short phrases, but there was a big problem. It didn't fix my overall rhythm, and that brings us on to step 2. That's when I realised the importance of listening, not every now and then, but as much as I could, literally flooding my brain with Mandarin, podcasts, TV shows, conversations, all the time. The more I listened, the more my brain tuned itself to the rhythm of Mandarin. It wasn't just words anymore, it was like music. Do you ever get that feeling after listening to a song hundreds of times that you can hum along in perfect pitch, timing and harmony without even trying? That's the same feeling you get when you listen to an absolute ton of Mandarin. But here's the catch. If you only listen passively, you're just hoping to absorb the rhythm. You're not training it directly. And that's where the real magic begins, with active training. I always talk about active learning on this channel, and pronunciation is no exception. The 2 techniques I'm about to share with you completely changed the game for me. Honestly, most of my pronunciation success comes from these 2 techniques. And they are shadowing and chorusing. Shadowing is when you repeat what you hear almost immediately after hearing it. I used podcasts and TV shows for this daily. If you're learning Mandarin, check out my Speak Mandarin with Me series to help with this. Chorusing, you repeat at the same time as the native speaker. It's tough, but it forces your brain to sync. Some researchers suggest that it triggers your mirror neurons, the cells in your brain responsible for this imitation process. I'd recommend using chorusing.com, a completely free website that works brilliantly for automating shadowing and or chorusing using any YouTube video you like. You can go and check that out. The first time I tried these 2 methods, absolute total disaster. But after weeks of repetition, I started sounding shockingly close to the original speaker. And so shadowing and chorusing gave me rhythm, prosody and flow, but they still didn't explain how I picked up an authentic Northern Chinese accent. For that, I had to do something a bit different. This is where I stopped just studying Mandarin pronunciation and started noticing it. I spent hours around native speakers, paying attention not only to the words, but the emotion, the intonation, the exact way their voices rose and fell. And here's something absolutely wild. After spending a year hanging out with one of my close friends from the north of China, my accent started to sound strangely like his. Intonation, rhythm, and even certain quirks, it rubbed off on me without me even really trying. I've still left a big question unanswered here. Do you even need to sound like a native speaker? Here's the truth. You don't need to sound exactly like a native speaker. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is clarity. But the closer you sound to a native, the more people naturally accept you as one of us, and that makes connections easier, conversations smoother, and learning faster. I've put together a free 7-day email course full of pronunciation tips and training for Mandarin. Check the link in the description if you're interested.